If you watch my channel, you've known by now that dropshipping is not dead. And in this video, I want to go over one of the videos I've been wanting to watch for a long time, but haven't gotten around to it, where this guy interviews 8-figure dropshipping millionaires, basically. And I think it's going to shed some light into the world of dropshipping and e-commerce. And we're probably going to learn a lot. So I'm going to give my commentary on it as someone who manages millions of dollars of revenue with my agency in e-commerce. Not me personally, I got to give credit to the team, but we built something pretty cool there. So I got a lot of insights that I think will just sprinkle some spices into the video. But here we go. This is the video by Charlie Chang. This guy's a G. I got to subscribe because this guy makes great videos, and this is kind of viral. It has over 100,000 views in 3 months. So let's see.
So I went out and interviewed dropshippers who have made millions of dollars and asked them how they did it. Douglas does over $1 million per month from his stores. Susan and Steven went from dropshipping to starting their own multi-7-figure brand. And Jason owns a big dropshipping
Jason. I love Jason.
business. 3 different perspectives, and if you're looking to start an e-commerce brand, I really think that everything we're talking about today in this video, it's going to be super, super useful. So let's go. So can you introduce yourself, your age, and then what you do?
My name is Douglas. I'm 24 years old, and I've been doing dropshipping for about 5 years now.
So how did you first get into dropshipping?
I went to college for business. Within about 1.5 years, I flunked out. When I got back home, basically my dad gave me an ultimatum. He was like, all right, you have 1 year to figure something out, or you're either going back to school or you're getting a job. So yeah, I came across a video on YouTube.
Fair.
Got obsessed with dropshipping, and it took me about 8 months before I found any success, but yeah, that's how I got started.
So those first...
That's usually how it goes. Like, it takes at least 6 months to really see any sort of results with anything, really. I mean, you can do it faster, but really that's just how long it takes to master, or not master, not at all master, but just to start getting the hang of making things online.
First 8 to 9 months,
Yeah.
How much money did you lose?
I initially got into dropshipping
Good
with
question.
$2,000 that I made from basically reselling streetwear. I would put money into a store, make some money, invest it into another store. One thing led to another. I was $11,000 in debt.
What are some of your numbers? I think it's super inspiring.
First
Classic.
2 years that I did dropshipping, I was able to do a little bit over $3 million in revenue by myself. And recently, I partnered up with a friend of mine. We're on track to do about 13, 14 million by the end of this year.
How much is that per day?
Our biggest day to date would be $360,000 in revenue.
Wow.
What did you do to actually start making a lot more the second half?
For the first 2 quarters of the year, we didn't test enough products. What really changed was we just ramped up our volume. We tested more products, we tested more creatives, and we just grew our team.
Okay.
That's definitely the key to scaling with paid ads, at least, is creative output, just new creatives all the time, but just in general too, new creatives, new content being posted. That's one of the biggest keys, but new products too. He's absolutely right. Like, the reason why new products are great to test, obviously with dropshipping, it's great to test new products because you don't know what's going to hit. But for a brand, testing new products within your brand is also really smart because you can test your existing customer list and see if they're going to like this new product. And all of that money is basically profit.
To be able to support that.
Okay, so first, I know a lot of people might be a little skeptical because those are some big, big numbers. Can you show us your phone or?
Yeah, I could.
Okay.
So this is one store that we're working on. This is our main store.
Nice. Those are some big numbers.
This is the second store that we're working on this year. This one's a little bit of a baby, but
That's great. Yeah, thanks for showing us that because I know a lot of people are like, there's no way people make that much money online, right?
if you look at the graphs, like the first half of the year, we weren't doing that well. We basically had an emergency meeting where we looked at each other and we were like, we got to grind for
Yeah.
the last half of the year, right? And so we basically locked ourselves in 6 months, working anywhere from 40 to 50 hours a week.
Yeah.
Those were the results that came from it.
What type of ads? You guys
40 to 50 hours a week isn't even that crazy. That's the normal work week. But, you know, imagine all that time spent focused on your business. Like, you're going to have a lot more leverage and uncapped. That's the thing I love about business and entrepreneurship. There's no cap on your potential, right? At a job, even if you work 100 hours a week, you know, you can only make so much. You're not really going to be able to have that exponential growth that you can with business.
run?
We're mainly running UGC style creatives on Facebook and Instagram ads. We're doing maybe like 80% Facebook and Instagram right now, and then
Okay.
like 20% TikTok.
Can you give us some advice on that?
UGC seems to be the trend right now. People just like seeing marketing that doesn't look like it's marketing immediately when you watch it, right? So it's a lot of storytelling is what I would say. If you can bring people on a journey and then sell to them while you're doing it, but do it in a way where it's not obvious that you're selling to them, you'll always make money.
Can you tell us about a time where you tested something and it didn't work out and what you learned from it?
There was actually a dry period where I moved moved to New York and I didn't make any money from dropshipping. What I did was I basically removed myself from the comfortable situation that I was in. I was still at home with my parents. I took a trip to New York, got an apartment for a year and a half out there, and basically just put my back against the wall and figured it out. So my advice would be bet on yourself and basically just show up every day. And if you're persistent with it, you'll figure it out.
Can you share
Facts.
Like, what does that do for your mindset and your work ethic and all that stuff?
When you stay home and you're kind of in the same hometown, you see the same people, you do the same things, it breeds a level of comfort that makes you sort of accept whatever your situation is, right? And so when you put yourself in a new environment, you're more forced to explore new ideas and grow as an individual. And when you sort of, do something like get an apartment, then you have more of an incentive now to make money, more pressure. Yeah, exactly.
What's a mistake that a lot of people do when they get
That's true.
dropshipping?
Information overload. So there's a lot of information online with different gurus online teaching you how to do dropshipping. So my advice would be to pick one strategy and stick with it for a while and not get sidetracked.
Day zero.
Facts.
Starting out with your knowledge right now.
Yeah.
What would you do?
That's really true. I think there's too much content on YouTube now, whereas I remember even like 6 years ago, there was barely any content. So that was also a problem. Free education, funny enough, is a double-edged sword. But I think it's obviously much better to have all this information out there than not. But he's absolutely right. It's really important to focus on your store and just really kind of go all in on that and not necessarily listen to what everyone else is saying, or maybe just listen to one person that you really like, that you really resonate with, and just go all in on that.
First 180 days.
So I would start by doing a lot of research into different niches and industries. Basically, you're looking for holes in the market where you can come in and do something better than the competition. And the key thing that I would do is actually figure out a way to put in a feedback loop system into the way that you test. So you need to take action by coming up with a hypothesis. Is this going to work? Is this not going to work? And then when you test it, you can figure out whether or not it works and then readjust your strategy based on that.
What's your daily schedule like?
So I try to wake up around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'll immediately start work. I'm not a big believer in morning routines too much. I'll typically be done around noon, and from there, I'll just have the rest of the day to do whatever I want.
What are some of your favorite tool, software, websites that you guys use in your business?
ClickUp for team task management. Notion for just storing all of our databases, anything data related. We use Air.inc for storing creatives. I've been using a tool called AccuFlow, which basically takes, all of those things and kind of puts it into one place.
What are the good and bad parts of the dropshipping lifestyle?
Freedom, but also lack of freedom. Freedom in the sense that because you're working from your laptop, you can kind of travel, be in any location you want, and still make money. But with that comes the need for discipline, right? And if you don't have discipline, then it's very easy for your business to slip sometimes. So there's
True.
always,
It's it's really easy to get comfortable once you have something working. That's so true.
Push for more.
Do you have any final advice for the audience? Should they do dropshipping? Should they not?
Dropshipping is one of the best ways to get into business if you don't have a lot of starting capital, but that doesn't mean that you should get into it with no starting capital. I think you'll have a lot more success if you have money to work with because you're not stressed about, maybe I spend $200 here and that's all the money that I have to test the product. So having capital to start would be the best way to go about it.
Thank you so much.
All right, look, since we're on the topic of dropshipping, I want to tell you about a platform that could help you out if you're trying to get into e-commerce. AutoDS is a software that helps online sellers.
AutoDS is everywhere these days, man.
Multiple marketplaces, specializing in Shopify, but also working with other marketplaces like eBay, Amazon, and more. They also have a variety of powerful tools to search for products, such as their winning product section, or simply scrolling through their marketplace. You don't have to spend hours scrolling through TikTok now. You can also find in the marketplace multiple suppliers with great shipping times between.
I wonder how much these guys make.
And they can take any product to connect it to your store, ship it out to your customer, and even customize your product with your branding. Overall, this will help you guys save so much time and automate the tedious aspects of running a dropshipping business. So if you're trying to get into dropshipping like the people we're interviewing today, you can sign up for a free trial using my exclusive link down below. And now back to the video.
All right, so what are your names, your ages, and what do you guys do?
My name is Steven. I'm 23 and I run e-commerce businesses and a software company.
My name is Susan. I'm 22 and I own a brand called Private Paradise.
So can we get a tour of your guys'
Cool.
whole office place?
Yeah, come on in.
Let's go.
Whoa, they got
This
an
is where
office.
We come to hang out once in a while. In here, this is our
Warehouse that
Packing
stores
area.
most of our apparel, 1,200 square feet.
This is where the magic happens. All the Christmas presents are delivered on this table. You can see here we have all of these sections. This is all sectioned off by individual product SKU. In this room, this is where the bulk of our jewelry is stored.
So what's been the best part about having your own space like this?
More control for sure, because we used to actually work with a third-party fulfillment center. We wouldn't know if our orders were being shipped. There would always be delays.
Can I see one of
True.
your guys' products?
Yeah. This is one of our earrings. It's a TXT earring for the K-pop fans out there who might recognize this.
This is a
That's
necklace
cool.
I actually just designed. It's our Paradise necklace, and on the back it comes with a quote, which is from a BTS song called Paradise.
That's so cool that you guys have
Oh.
a space at...
So that's their niche, BTS, K-pop. That's a massive niche. I remember a lead that came into my form a while ago from a store that was doing 100K a month, and it was entirely based on BTS. So pretty interesting. Sometimes you don't know where the gold is, right? There's riches in the niches. People say that all the time, and it's true. And it's part of the reason why I love to case study so many different brands. I feel like it just opens up my brain to the opportunities and possibilities out there.
young age.
Thank you.
Really impressive.
Thank you.
Can you tell me about like the story of how you guys got started at such a young age?
Yeah, so for me, I started my first online business when I was 12. I was running Minecraft servers, and I was getting perks through
That is
the
awesome.
Engine, and I made $10,000 when I was just 12 years old. When I was
That's
17,
crazy.
I started a business selling fidget spinners. Did like
$10,000 when you're 12 years old is the equivalent of like $1 million when you're like 25. That's crazy.
$300,000 in revenue doing that. In college, I started a dropshipping store, and we sold designer toys.
So I started my business when I was 17.
Designer toys. That's interesting.
Back in 2019. That's when I was learning different programs like Adobe Illustrator, because I knew I needed to know Vector to design products. And so eventually that led me
It's a
to
good
my
skill.
first product, which was just like an AirPods case. And then I decided to design a jewelry collection. I did a drop, and I made 20K within like the first hour, and that was more than I had made in the past 6 months. So
Wow.
It made me realize, like, if I take this seriously, like, this could really be something.
Girl
A lot
boss.
of people watching this, they wanted maybe do something similar. What would you tell them? How can they get started?
My first e-commerce business, I was selling fidget spinners, and I went on Alibaba, spent $50, and I got 20 units of fidget spinners, and I just hand shipped it myself. So I think the biggest thing that you need to do is learn marketing, because of all the businesses I failed, the biggest issue that came to me was a lack of distribution. I didn't know how.
Yes, he's so right. I love this point. Your product could be literally the best product in the world, but if you lack distribution, you're not going to make it very far. And that's why, my goal was to just focus entirely on distribution. That's what my company does. We're a distribution company. That's really smart advice.
How to sell something.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what customers wanted either.
A lot of people get stuck on like the education phase where they spend a lot of time researching and learning but not actually doing. So I'd
True.
say you have to take action and do it.
What should people not do to be successful?
Not taking enough risks, especially when you're young.
Yeah.
This is the best time of your life to take as many risks as possible. For me, when I made $10,000 when I was 12, 95% of that money, I lost it all. I was able to afford taking that risk because I was so young. So when you're young, take those risks and be willing to lose 100% of your money, because it might seem like a lot in the moment, but if you look at the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money you're gonna make, especially if you're taking the risk and learning every time.
Do you guys want to share some of the numbers?
To date, I think we've done just over $4 million
Okay.
in the past like
Since
3.5 years.
the beginning of 2021.
So you guys have more of like a brand.
Mhm.
What's the difference between what you guys do versus drop shipping?
With dropshipping, it's more so like of a white label situation where
Mhm.
you'll find an existing product and then brand it as your own. Whereas with a brand or like say Private Paradise, we design everything completely custom made. There isn't anything that's like really similar.
Okay.
out
That's
there.
awesome.
And I think that actually gave us a nice edge.
What makes you guys so successful at such a young age?
We are just doers. We like to get things done quickly,
Mhm.
and we don't wait around too long to act on ideas.
I would say also
Facts.
our passion for Private Paradise specifically. I feel like if I didn't have a passion for K-pop and BTS and all of these groups that inspire my products, I probably would have stopped or like gave up at many different points just because it got so hard on
That's
me.
a powerful combination, passion and a doer's mentality. That is really, really a powerful combination. I mean, that's how I feel as well.
Building on that, the passion thing for people that are watching this video, if they have a passion and they want to sort of monetize it, do you have any advice for them?
I would say first find out if your passion has an existing community. Say if you're passionate about skincare, like what is the community surrounding that? The BTS community and K-pop community, we're just a passionate group of fans and we all share, you know, the same passion for the same things.
The easiest way to start is just by trying to sell a service or a mentorship to a friend, right? Say you're a really good tennis player, you can just go to your friend and be like, hey, I'll teach you tennis for X amount. You need to learn how to sell, and that's the #1 most essential skill in, especially in e-commerce.
Any final advice you want to give the audience?
I would say work smart, don't make bad decisions when you start making money. Just keep going until you find something, because it's not easy. I've heard of people who've tested hundreds of products and haven't hit a single one, but the one that they did hit, they make it really big. Every failure is a lesson, and it's not an actual failure.
I would say if something's on your mind, like making a business or just doing something entrepreneurial, it's on your mind for a reason. And just the fact that you're curious about it and you want to do it is kind of enough for you to just get started.
Thank you guys so much.
So what's
I
your
love
name,
that.
age, and what do you do for a living?
My name is Jason. I'm 26 and I am a supplier to a lot of e-commerce brands.
Can you tell us more about your business?
Yeah, so I run a business called Saucy, and we're essentially an extension of your product team. So think of it as if you're a business owner that sells products online, but you don't have a robust product team, we essentially plug that into your business.
And can you tell us about your journey in entrepreneurship? I know you used to do e-commerce and drop shipping, right?
When I was 14 years old, I started my first e-commerce brand. I was selling apparel online. And after that business took off, I moved to California and met a lot of other business owners. And from that journey, I realized that a lot of people have problems with their suppliers, with their products, because of the barrier of entry, just going to an international market, but also the language barrier. And so me coming from Hong Kong, speaking Chinese, I was able to bridge that gap by helping my friends at
That's
first
so
with their
smart.
supply chain, and then eventually productizing it to everyone else.
What's a big mistake that a lot of people that do dropshipping make when it comes to finding a supplier?
One is they don't get reference checks. They just find whoever that they can find online. It's a hit or miss. It's like hiring people, or it's like dating. You really got to make sure you do a lot more checks between that.
Yeah, I think a big thing with dropshipping is a lot of people think the products are just going to be super inferior. How do you make sure they're not, and how do you make sure that the products that your customers are getting are actually good, that they'll be happy with?
Quite simple. Order the samples from different suppliers, compare them, ask them for their spec sheets. There's different materials, right? Know what your specs is, and then use as a benchmark to test. So buy the samples, have it on hand, and try it for yourself, and make sure that the experience that you're experiencing is exactly what you're promising your end customers.
So there's some high ROI customizations that you have seen people do.
The lowest hanging fruit is two things. One is your site experience. You want to make sure that it looks just like every other well-kept brands. It doesn't look like a simple dropshipping theme that you get off Shopify for free or for $29. So make sure that is well done. And the next thing is the unboxing experience. That's very low-hanging fruit. So better boxes, better branding on the boxes, and then better customer support for any feedbacks and responses.
You work with a lot of e-commerce brands and dropshipping people.
That's actually, I think it's a brilliant advice to say that the packaging is a low-hanging fruit. I remember literally back probably 6 years ago when I was also running a dropshipping store, and that was when I first learned about sourcing agents, and I worked with one that was not the best in hindsight, but he did say something that was brilliant. And at the time we were doing like $60K a month with our store. He said the packaging is it has 100% open rate. And I thought that was so brilliant because it's true. Like your box that you send your customer has 100% open rate. Everybody that orders will open their box. So utilize that box, right? Like better packaging, better branding materials, maybe, I don't even know, like brochures for other products, etc. There's so many things you can do.
It's like a typical profit margin.
We have some customers that are selling stuff for about $20 to $30, so their net profit margin, like what they take home, will probably be around 10 to 15% because you have to account for Facebook costs and other operating costs, and those are typically pretty standard.
Camera died.
Because you have to account for Facebook costs. And
We're gonna go back a little.
they take home will probably be around 10 to 15% because you have to account for Facebook costs and other operating costs, and those are typically pretty standard, around 20-30% of your revenue. If you were to sell at a higher price point and you're able to build a much more optimized funnel, then your margin expands drastically. So some of our customers that are selling items at about 100 have a very good premium brand. Their margins are around 30-40%.
So if you're starting dropshipping today, what are some things that you would do that you don't think other people know to do?
To try to hit a different geographic. A lot of times things are quite saturated in what we call the big three countries, which is US, Canada, and Australia. But some of our biggest sellers are actually from the EU. They're selling products that people in the US wouldn't even sell because it's so tapped out here. But they just switch the region to EU and it's like all over again.
That is a brilliant idea.
Is it still alive or is it dead?
I think it's still very much alive, but it definitely weed out a lot of people who are just in it for the quick money and expecting to do the bare minimum. Things got a lot harder, consumers a lot smarter, and so you really have to pay a lot more attention to your brand, to your supply chain, to your marketing compared to 4 or 5 years ago when dropshipping was the thing.
When someone's starting out,
that's
like
so
a lot of them,
true.
They'll go to AliExpress or Alibaba or whatever to find a supplier. What's the difference between doing that versus using someone like you?
So AliExpress and Alibaba are actually US interfacing platform, which means that their pricing, their lingo, and their wordings are all going for acquiring US customers. The downside to that is they typically have a much higher markup compared to what you get in China. If you were to get this coaster from AliExpress or Alibaba, maybe this is $1. But if you go to our internal sites or internal network, you might get this for 60 cents. That's just the difference between US pricing and Chinese pricing.
Okay.
And so oftentimes people might use AliExpress and Alibaba as a starting point to figure out more information about the product, more information about the supplier. But at the end of the day, if they were to build their business to scale, they will want a partner like us or some of our people in the same space. What we do here, one, saves you a lot of money on your margins because we negotiate for you. Number two is we're able to take our volume across all our clients to get better shipping rates for you. And the third thing is we're able to create an experience that you just can't create by dropshipping through AliExpress. And that unboxing experience leads to less chargeback, less complaints, better reviews for you, which in turn would lead to better retention.
So there you have it, asking dropshipping millionaires.
That was really good.
Advice. Honestly, the people we talked to were super inspirational. They're doing so much at such a young age, and it really did light a fire in me. Hopefully you guys got some practical advice that you can implement. And also thank you so much to our guests. You guys can find their information down below in the description.
I'm gonna link the video obviously in the description.
If you guys did, make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe for more content just like this. I make a ton of videos about personal finance, entrepreneurship, and investing. All right, thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
I'm going to link this in the description. One last thing I want to say is that was really good. What Jason said is that a lot of people get into this expecting to do the bare minimum, and that just doesn't work anymore. You should never expect to just do the bare minimum, but still, like, if you are expecting that, then you can also just expect to fail because that's not going to work. You got to put in the work. You got to be clever, put some effort into your marketing, your site, make it look like a real business. So yeah, that's really it. I'm going to link this. I got so many videos in my watch list that I want to do videos like this for. So, stay tuned. If you enjoy these videos, let me know. And that's it. Peace.